Hello, listeners. Welcome back to the Canon Sports Podcast. I am delighted to have two guests here today with us. We are actually in the future Peko Power Center, and I'm joined by Coach Andy Flores, who was actually guest number 1 on the Canon Sports Podcast.
Wow.
And Domata Peko, and we are going to explore the business that they've created together, shine some light on themselves as coaches, as former athletes, and essentially the energy that they're creating for the youth and what they're doing here business-wise. So I'll get you started with an easy one. You've kind of told me this story a bit, Coach Flores, but I'd love the origin story between, how you guys got started, what that was like. I think the audience deserves to hear that.
Well, I met Peko about 4.5 years ago. I was coaching at Calabasas High, and I met his son, and he came on and said, his dad played football for a little bit, and I was like, okay, cool. And then his dad rolls up about a week later, and I look, and I said, well, his dad's been playing for 15 years. And then from there, I just reached out to Peko and said, hey, man, would you mind coming out? And he said, to be honest, I just want to watch. I want to be a parent. And after a couple of days went through, I finally tugged his arm, and he finally came out. And from there, it was just, there's no ego. It was all about the kids and him running around. And at the same time, he was still getting in shape because he was still getting calls from different teams. And from him coming out, he's like, look, I want to start out. I'll hand out water. I'll pick up cones, whatever you need to do. I'm like, no, come help us out. And then from there, he just automatically just jumped in, and it was just offense, defense, whatever we needed. We were just feeding off each other, and from there it was just good energy, good vibes, and it's all about the kids.
Let's hear your perspective. What did you think of this guy when you first interacted?
It was such a blessing, man, to meet Coach Andy Flores. Like you said, 4 years ago was my son's freshman year, Domata Peko Jr. Mm-hmm. Now he's got a full ride to UH right now, the University of Hawaii, so big shout out to him and Hawaii, the Warriors out there. But yeah, Coach Flores, once I first met him, I just seen the passion and seen, how he's like a selfless type of guy, putting the kids first, and he's a great coach as well, So the energy right there just off the bat was real easy to get along with him. And then having my background of playing in the NFL for a while as a D lineman, and he was coaching the O lineman, so we kind of just mixed and matched and kind of sharpened each other up as well as coaches. And man, it's been such a blessing working with him the past say about a year now, doing our thing here. Mm-hmm. And it made it real easy when you have someone that's kind of on the same vibes as you and that has a mission of putting the kids first and just trying to get people better. And that's the name of that's one of our things that we were trying to do here is just trying to sharpen each other up. Everyone has goals to try to make it, and if we can help out in any way, that's a blessing to us, to help kids get to their goals.
For sure. Yeah, I hear a lot of cool golden nuggets that we can unpack a little bit. I'm curious for both of you, I've known you for a while, Coach Flores, and you've always been full of passion. It's clear that guys respect you, not just maybe your X's and O's on the field. Obviously, that's a thing. However, they connect with you. And I'm curious from both of you guys, who are some coaches that impacted you? And why is coaching so important? And I think that's a big question, and we can kind of weave that into the whole conversation. But why is coaching important, and what coaches have impacted you guys throughout your journey the most, I would say?
Go ahead, brother.
I would say for myself, my old teammate, Rocky Seto, who was at Mount Sac with me, then he walked on at USC, then he stayed on 10-year tenure with Pete Carroll, and then he went up to Seattle Seahawks with them, and he was able to get Super Bowl, but he was always religious. He was always real humble. And at the end of the day, when I first started coaching, I always went back to him, and he was coaching at the top with Pete Carroll and the whole thing. And he brought me in one day, and he said, look, no matter who you get tips from or whatever, you got to be able to translate it. So no matter what you get, you need a foundation. So on top of the foundation, you got to be able to put your twist on it and also have you communicate it. Because you could go to any clinic, you could go to anywhere and get a book. But if you can't get your point across, so he goes, no matter what you got to get the trust. Mm-hmm. Once you get the trust, you're going to get the respect, and then the third part is going to be the love. So once all three hit, and kids are going to follow it. And from there, there's sometimes it's X's and O's, but there's sometimes you spend more time with the kids than their actual parents.
Right.
So there's going to be life lessons along where they're going to ask questions or they're going to do this. And once you guide them, that's when, the trust factor comes in and, they believe in you. Once they believe in you, no matter what you're helping them with, they're going to get that much better because you already see what they need to work on and stuff like that. So you're going to be able to bring that out pretty fast in them. Where parents and stuff, it's, if we're with them a lot more and we're able to get that structure, then they respect you and everything. And it's an open, to this day, I have kids that I coached 20 years ago that still come back and are like, man, do you remember this? Do you remember this? And the whole thing is, that's what I get out of it. Mm-hmm. If I could just impact one or two kids, because growing up, I had a lot of coaches that were screamers and yellers. And I said, look, man, that thing, to me, a lot of times, every kid's not the same. It's not a cookie cutter. You have 60 kids on one team, 95 kids on one team. Everyone doesn't react the same. Everyone's different. So there's some times where you either have to slow up your drills, or there's other times where you gotta basically reach out. And even if it's in between water breaks or something else, and really point things out where it makes an impact on them. And they're gonna remember that, and they're always gonna have the trust. So as soon as you build that, I think it's, but I think Rocky Seto and him introducing me to Pat Rule, who's the O-line coach, Pete Carroll, and just a lot of guys that were really about the impact of the inner city, and from there being at the highest points of national champs and this and that, and at my young coaching career, able to see this and was like, wow, I'm able to hang out with this and fortunate enough and being blessed to be around this. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, do something with it.
Right.
So to me, it's always pay it forward and, just always try to be humble and, pass something on.
That's beautiful, man. I appreciate you sharing all that. And a couple takeaways that I heard as I was listening, the adaptability factor. You can learn from great coaches, but being able to take it and adapt it in your own way and translate it in your own way, I think is a crucial thing that coaches can take away, whoever's listening. You have longevity in the game, and you've met and coached probably thousands of young humans at this point, yeah? And being adaptable, I think, is probably arguably the number one trait. And I also heard, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think you're saying that it's vital as a coach to continue to learn from coaches above you, coaches that kind of paved the way.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what level you get to.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. I appreciate that. And for you, Domata, I'm curious, 15-year NFL career, so you had a lot of different coaches, but are there a couple that kind of stand out and why?
Yeah, I had some great coaches over the years, man. So I wish I could name every one of them. You know what I mean? I feel bad that I'm not naming all of them, but a couple of them that really stood out to me and really helped me in my journey was my head coach for the Bengals, Coach Marvin Lewis. Mm-hmm. He was my coach for 11 years in a row, so over a decade. And one of the things I really enjoyed about Coach Lewis is not only the X's and O's, but off the field stuff, man. He was there for you as a person, as a human being. Mm-hmm. He didn't want you just to be a great player, but he wanted you to be a great citizen, to be a great human. And that's what I really appreciate about Coach. He was always asking about the family, making sure your kids are good. And not that many coaches, are like that. Some coaches are just like, I want you to be the best on the field, not really concerned what you do after, you know what I mean? But he was really a player's coach, so I really appreciated Coach Lewis over the years. But also there was another guy that I pay a lot of my respect to was Coach Mike Zimmer. He was the head coach for the Vikings for several years, mm-hmm. and he was our defensive coordinator for a long time in the Bengals when I was there. But he's more of a hard-nosed coach, man, where there's no BSing around, that he wants you to do your job. And if you're doing it, he'll praise you for it. But if you're not doing it, he'll let you know. Mm-hmm. And he'll let everyone in the room know that you're not doing your job, So he was like a coach that I really respected because he kind of treated everyone equal, you know what I mean? There was no favoritism at all. He was treated a first-round pick like the guy in the 7th round, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's what's really cool about Coach Zimmer. But also he made you want to be accountable, you know what I mean? And that's one thing I feel like made our team really good, made our defense really good, is everyone was accountable. Like, if I had the A gap, I'm making sure I'm in my A gap, you know what I mean? If I have the B gap, I'm making sure I'm doing my job. Mm-hmm. And like you guys were saying earlier about adaptability, being a pro for so many years, you got to learn how to adapt, man, because I played 4-3 for most of my career, and then I I moved to Denver, and I learned a 3-4 defense out of nowhere. You know what I mean? So being able to adapt as doing it for 11 years one way, and then going to a new team where you have to learn a whole new playbook and adapting to new teachings and new stuff is definitely one of the keys to longevity, is being coachable and learning to adapt. But big shout out to Coach Lewis, Coach Zimmer, and then my D-line coach, Coach Jay Hayes. He taught me a lot. Wouldn't be where I'm at without him as well. So big shout out to those 3 coaches.
That's really cool, man. I appreciate you taking the time to share that. And actually, I grew up in Cincinnati.
Who they?
Yeah, my brother still lives in Mount Adams.
Oh,
and
no way.
I say that because it was really cool to watch the Bengals kind of rise. I know it was tough. Before you got there, it was tough for a while. And, when Marvin got there, it's like this whole culture change from the outside looking in. This is how we perceived it. And so to hear an inside perspective of kind of Marvin being more of like the yin energy and Mike Zimmer being more of the yang energy, and you have that nice flow.
Yeah.
That's at least how I kind of perceive it. And I think that's important in a coaching culture and a coaching dynamic to have, different types of energies because, like you said, Coach Flores, everybody is different. Everybody reacts to things in a different way. So you kind of have to have that.
Right.
So I think those are important little takeaways for everybody to kind of, sit with a little bit for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, moving forward, you guys have this beautiful facility here that we're in, and I would love to allow you guys to shine some light on what you're building here with the Line Academy, with Peko Power, with the other companies that are involved. I'll pass the mic to you, Domata, to talk about it and whatever you want to share, brother.
Yeah, dude, super excited that you guys came out to our new facility here. It's called the Peko Power, our Peko Training Center, and it's a blessing because a couple of my partners from LifePack Organics, we partnered up about a year ago, and we were looking for a new home for our academy. Me and Coach, wanted to start something in January. You know what I mean? Pretty fresh, about a month in. About 2 months of doing it now.
Mm-hmm.
And we first started off kind of just at one location, just renting. You know what I mean? For 3 days a week. And my partners and I were like, dude, we have our warehouse right here that we can convert into a gym. And you know what I mean? So we looked at it, we put our minds together, and we were like, man, let's do it. So now we've been here for about a month, and it's slowly coming along, and it's been such a blessing. But one of the main reasons that we're doing it, that we love to coach in general, is because we just want to give people a chance. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of kids out there that want to make it to the pros, want to make it to D1, want to go to a JUCO, or even just want to be a starter on their high school team. And that's one of the things that's cool about our spot is we're at all levels, man. We have guys in here that are some middle school kids that are barely learning how to play football, all the way to the highest level of guys that are getting ready for the NFL draft and the combine. So everywhere in between there, you know what I mean? So we're just trying to, if we can help one person a day get 1% better, I feel like I'm doing my job, man. Just to help guys achieve their goals. That's one of the main reasons we're doing it. And like the good book says up there, it says, as iron sharpens iron, you know what I mean? So that's what we're here today, sharpen each other up, learn from my mistakes, you know what I mean? Learn from the stuff that I did wrong, and also learn from the good things I've done to help me with longevity and make it in the league. I just want to share my message to the youth that if I can do it, that they can do it as well. That's
beautiful, man. And Coach Flores, I'm curious to hear you kind of expand on that and kind of talk like directly into what the mission is for it. You alluded to it, Domata, but is there a statement that you guys would like to make? I hear a lot of inclusivity. I hear a lot of welcome. We're here to learn. We're here to sharpen each other. We're here to, really put you in a position to succeed whatever level you're aspiring to get to.
Yeah. Well, I think just being in this valley, for me, it's 22 years being in this valley. And, the whole thing is just seeing families and kids throughout. And just something that we could hang our hat on and say, here, if you're going to train with offense or defense linemen, then we're going to do it here and teach them the work ethic and teach them, the respect factor and everything else that ties into it. Mm-hmm. And, that's like the big thing that me and Peko talked about is we said, look, man, we just want to do something where we run around and have fun. And basically that's what we do. Right. Is we just start out here and all of a sudden we'll create the workouts and we'll go back and forth and feed stuff and just the resources that we got to, able to, to reach in. Like good buddy, Willie Anderson, and we have all these different, Troy Polamalu that he's reaching out to for different drills, and just all these people. So it's like putting the resources together, and let's just pass it on. We have all these tools and everything in the shed. Let's bring them out.
Right.
It makes no sense just to hide them. I mean, break them out, and we're gonna invite you guys back out to Line Academy in about 3 to 4 weeks once it's all decked out, and
Please
come through a whole workout, and I think our biggest thing is just having a staple here in the 805, 818 that you could say, okay, look, man, if you're going to come from the 405 to Santa Barbara, you got to stop here, and this is where the linemen are at.
Love that.
And, I think from the parents and the kids, the feedback is really good, and our vibes going off each other. It's just like, we're coaching anywhere else. Well, we're just running around having fun, and, I think that's what we enjoy it. Like, when you enjoy and really love something that you do, it's really – timeless. You just running around and going.
Heck yeah, Coach. Like you said, man, we really enjoy it. You'll see if you come out here and enjoying a session with us. We'll be running around with you, man. I kind of lead some of the drills here and run the drills with the kids. So I'll show them how to do a certain drill, and I'm able to do it with them. A lot of the kids really enjoy that, to work out together with me, you know what I mean? So, and with Coach Flores. But like Coach said, there's also a couple other guys that we know, some of my friends that are still current players in the league. Or, they're planning on coming here and, jumping in on the session as well. And just, able to be here in the academy here and train with NFL players is something that's pretty special for the youth and for young guys that are trying to make it. To see it firsthand right in front of you is pretty awesome.
That's incredible. I think what I'd like to acknowledge and point out the most from what I'm hearing from kind of what both you guys are saying is the importance of being ecstatic and truly loving what it is that you do. And I think – everybody around you feels it. When I walked into these doors in this facility, granted, you guys were there to welcome me, but I could feel what you guys are building here on an energetic level. And I think just in life, that's what people deserve to do for themselves. Let's talk a little bit more about the development of the human aspect. And I think you guys have talked into it quite a bit. You're creating this environment. People are going to want to be here. It's a place that, if you're a lineman, if you're listening, honestly, if you're just a football person that has love in your heart and you have passion for playing this amazing sport, stop by here and mess with these guys. They're welcoming and warm energy. So I'll just say that.
Appreciate that, brother.
Yeah, of course. Let's talk into, developing a human into their best self. And, what are some, maybe a side story or an example of ways that you've maybe done that in the past with a guy who might have challenges, outside of the field? As we know, being in the game and being coaches, there's a lot of that. So how do you guys talk about that? What do you guys kind of preach in terms of becoming your best self? Developing the tools in here, of course, will serve you, but I'm curious to hear you guys expand on that.
I think,
go ahead, brother.
I think what we said from the beginning is the work ethic. And I think if you're an athlete and you come out and let's just say, okay, you're a big bencher. Well, I'm not going to come here and try to make you bench 8 days a week. I already know you can do that.
Right.
So I'm going to hit on all the little spots that you need work on. And just like everyone else, I think the kids with the trust factor that we have, there's things that they need to work on, where they feed off of us and say, hey, man, I'm not getting this done in my class. Well, why not? So they're almost afraid to let us down before their parents. So it's like I'll hit them up and say, hey, what about this class? Are you getting it done? Yeah. All right, well, we're going to cut the workout short so you can go do your homework or this and that. So they already know. It's like, okay, either a punishment form or something like that. So the whole thing from there is, I think, just hold them accountable. And that's where you got to teach them at a young age. Even when I coached Pop Warner and kids like that, it was always accountability.
Right.
And you have kids that are coming through, and it's like, okay, even if you're late to my practice, it might not mean that. But when you're late to a Division I program, they throw you out. When you're late to, and you're in the lead, you get fined.
Right.
And everything else like that. So just things like that, just self-awareness. And I think a lot of people say it's just a game, and of course it's just a game. But the people that haven't sacrificed 12 summers, since sixth grade all the way to their senior year, then those are the people that argue with you. But the other people that never played the sport or never had the love for it is going to say, yeah, it's just a game.
Well, and on that note, the just a game note, in a game, in a sport, as you guys know, you're dealing with a full spectrum of emotional intelligence, of mental, like having to keep your mindset in a place to be able to perform at the highest level. It's playing a game, playing a sport is truly holistic in nature. Yeah. You know, you have to have a vast range of skills to be able to perform. So maybe on that note, you can pick up and add to anything, Domata.
Well, for me, like one of the things that we want to get across here as well is that we're big believers as well in God. You know what I mean? So one of the first things we do as a group here is we'll get down, we'll give thanks to a man upstairs, and we'll say a quick prayer together as a team before we start our workouts. And then I'll share like one scripture with the boys to kind of encourage them, because not only we don't only want to encourage just building yourself up physically, but we want you to make sure you're building up your spiritual self as well. Yes. Because I feel like that plays a big role in this whole process as well. And just enjoying the process, man, because, you know what I mean, football is, you know what I mean, it's a lot of X's and O's, but outside of that, man, there's a whole bunch of different things that go into it, and that's one thing that I thank God that helped me in my career was just being mentally strong, man, because that's one thing that we focus on here as well is we'll get into, we'll watch on TV, watch some film together with the guys, and we'll be like, hey, dude, let's study your opponent. You know what I mean? Let's teach you how to study your opponent. There's some guys out there that don't even know how to break down film. You know what I mean? They just watch film and just let it run through. But we're gonna teach you. Hey, let's watch this. Let's take a look at his foot. At his footwork. Let's see if his heel is a little bit more back here. Just picking up on little tools that can give you an edge on game day. You know what I mean? So those are just a couple little things that we do. Putting my man upstairs first. You know what I mean? Will really help you pave the way, but also making sure you're super mentally strong and spiritually strong as well.
I love that, and I love that you guys are really rooting into the spiritual side. I think it's super important. You know, I think it's the energy that gets to connect, you know, real people and real groups. Yeah. So just to recap everything that you guys said, it's a lot. You get a lot here at the Line Academy. If you sign up and come be a part of this community, it's truly, you know, from an accountability standpoint, from somebody to just guide and support in all areas of life, gluing it all together with the spiritual side and making sure that we're, you know, aligned in all of that, and doing some film study. Obviously, you're going to get the training in the physical side. Maybe we'll show you guys in the next episode the lovely facility that they're putting the finishing touches on. So you get it all, is what I'm saying. So thank you guys for sharing that. And, you know, moving into like a little bit deeper of a level of the why behind, like, is coaching the only thing? Like, if you removed coaching from you, who are you? I'm curious to hear, like, can you even be Andy Flores without coach?
If you talk to my wife, maybe for about 10 minutes. I always go back to coaching. That's fair. That's a big thing. I mean, I grew up in a football household, and I mean, we grew up in the inner city. So, I mean, we didn't have the private coaching. We didn't have all this. But my brother was fortunate enough to play Division I. He played at Long Beach State. My other brother played at San Diego State, and I was always the runt of the family. So my whole thing is, you know, my brothers taught me at an early age, like, no matter where you grow up, it's not where you start, it's where you end. And it's what you give back. And if that's what kept us out of trouble and everything else, and, you know, my whole thing is, you know, it's hard, but there's a lot of times where I'm coaching. There's a lot of times where I'm taking calls, and it's not about coaching. There's a lot of times where players are in college and like, man, look, you can make one bad decision, it's going to hurt you the rest of your life. So just from doing things like that, I think that's what I get out of it more than anything. And I think the biggest thing is just, to me, when I'm out here, it's not a job. You're just running around having fun. Right. And just passing knowledge and vibes that you've got throughout the years, and just a network. I mean, it's a fraternity of people that you know. And I mean, it's funny because Peko's played for 15 years, knows everyone, and it's like we know the same people. Like, we hang out. He was at the NFLPA game, and coach was like, look at these dudes. And I'm like, look, check out these dudes. We're going back and forth, just going off each other. And it's just, it's funny because it's a small world, you know, and everything's connected. But I think, to me, I mean, it would be hard, you know, but I mean, I'm pretty sure I would find something, but I would be pretty bored if the Yellowstone wasn't on TV or something else, and I'll be pretty bored.
That's a good show.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair. I hear that, and I think it's a beautiful response. I get that. I think I can appreciate, and I hope that the audience and listeners can appreciate that you understand yourself to be Coach Flores, but it's so much more. It's mentor, it's brother, it's father figure to an extent. It's all of these things. So I take the answer as no. Like, coach is very deeply rooted in one of your central kind of roots of who you are, and I think that's really cool. And man, you've shared a lot of value in a short period of time in this conversation.
It's awesome, Coach.
I'm curious to hear what you're thinking about over there.
For me, man, this is I just I'm just getting into it, man. Just barely getting my foot in the door for coaching, and it's for me, it's been super refreshing, and because I took like a year and a half off, since I retired. So that first year and a half, I wasn't doing much coaching, wasn't doing much football at all. I kind of wanted to take a little bit of a break, you know what I mean? But then, I don't know, man, I just got the itch to get back on the field. And, now that I can't, now I'm not playing, I'm like, dude, I kind of feel like coaching. And I feel like the guy upstairs has kind of been pushing me in this direction, just to be able to help others out. So it's really refreshing to me, coaching, man, and I love it. And when I think about coaching, what is a coach? A coach is someone that corrects, someone that teaches. You know what I mean? And I feel like my whole career, like once I got to year 10, I was kind of like a player coach. You know what I mean? Yeah. Once I got to those double-digit years, I was still a starter, but also mentoring these young guys. You know what I mean? And coaching while I was playing. You know what I mean? So it's kind of I feel like it's something that God's put in my heart to do, and I feel like I can do it to the best of my ability. And I told my wife, and I tell all the other coaches that whenever I coach, man, I'm going to treat it just like I did in the NFL. I'm going to be all in with it, and I've been enjoying it, man. It's been such a blessing, and especially when you tell someone or when you teach someone something, and then you see them do it on the field, and you see how happy they get when they make a sack, and they did a certain move, they busted out a side swipe, they kept their pad level low, and they made a sack, they made a play, and just seeing them do that, it's doing something that you taught them, and it's a blessing, man. There's nothing like it, man. So it's definitely been refreshing to me, and I'm so excited to get started, and I can't wait to see where this takes me, man.
For sure. Yeah, I love that. I appreciate you sharing that. And I agree, man.
And in the year and a half off, I probably got about 15 text messages. Are we starting next week? Are we starting next month? I want to get out there.
Had the itch, man. You know what I mean? For doing it, I've been doing it my whole life, man. So it's really fun to get back on the field, and had a good time. I just coached this game. It was like NFL PLA Bowl here at the Rose Bowl. So that was like my real first test of coaching, like college guys getting ready to go to the draft.
Right.
And it was amazing, man, that they were like sponges, man. They wanted to soak it all up because they wanted to make it to the highest level as well. So it's a blessing to be able to see guys want to soak up all the knowledge you have, and I love that, man. It's a blessing.
Yeah, that's really cool, and I think that's a cool point for you to make for the young guys listening that haven't experienced you as their coach. Being at the Senior Bowl and seeing it at the highest level, and seeing that those guys are adaptable and sponges, and they're looking to learn everything possible from you. So that's an easy little message for players and everybody out there listening, for sure. All right, well, I got one more kind of concluding question. We powered through this, but I think it's pretty action packed with a lot of quality stuff. What's your guys' message to the football community? If you could leave one message to the football community, and you've kind of rooted it, throughout all your responses. However, you get one message to share. I'm curious to hear what this is.
You go first, Coach, and I'll go after you.
Off one word or one message?
A sentence, a message, whatever comes through you. I feel it brewing.
To me, it comes down to one word, and it's details. Because no matter what you do throughout your life, whether it's football on and off the field, it's the details that you put everything into. Whether it's your homework, whether it's your at-home life, whether it's everything, you got to have, details it's one word, but it brings everything into it. It brings structure, it brings accountability, it brings a lot of things into it. And if you're really on with details, that explains you as a person on and off the field, I think. What decisions you're going to make, also, too, is, what kind of guy are you going to be? Because you're going to go through playing football on a lot of different teams. So are you going to be the guy that's going to be the supporter and help? And, there's some times where you're not always going to be in the limelight, but at the end of the day, you push a guy next to you, and guess what? The next guy's going to push you when you're down, and that's what it goes forward. And I think that's what we've seen out here is a lot of the the older guys pushing the younger guys, and now everyone's passing it down. And that's, I think, what we get a big kick out of, is seeing when the younger guys, feed off of the older guys. And, that's
Right.
what we like seeing and enjoying. But I think from there, it's just, the details into it, which
Well
is
done.
accountability, structure, all that.
Yeah. That's really
awesome,
good.
man.
Yeah.
For me, I just want to share probably just 2 words with you guys. They're staying humbled. You know what I mean? That's one thing I feel like is really blessed me throughout my career, is just making sure you stay humbled with it. You know what I mean? And always just being respectful to others, showing love to everyone. You know what I mean? And it'll go a long way, man. Never burn bridges. Always treat everyone with respect. And I think that'll take you a long way. So that's one of them, is staying humbled, and the other one is staying hungry. You know what I mean? Always trying to get better. Throughout my whole career, man, wasn't a day when I went to work when I was like, oh, I think I got it all. It was, no, I want to improve this. I want to try to work on my pad levels today. I'm going to try to work on my strike today. Always trying to improve the little things, because when you do the little things right, my man upstairs is going to bless you with many big things. So staying humbled, staying hungry, and man, if you do those 2 things, man, you might have a chance. So just want to encourage you guys to that.
You heard it here first, guys, from these 2 dynamic human beings. Stay humble, stay hungry, and get into the details. And essentially this conversation, was about getting into the details and how you guys do that, how you guys are going to continue to do that, and what you're building here. And I'm happy that we got to shine a light on it for you guys. And we'll continue to be an ally and, root for you guys, pray for you guys. And I'm sure that the organic growth will happen.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank
through
you.
all the different products coming through. I mean, from the Line Academy, to a Life Pack, to to Peko Power and everything else. And Coach just got invited to do the combine and do drills there, and just everything comes full circle. And I think at the end of the day, when you are really true to the game, it comes full circle, and the guy upstairs really wants you to shine, and he'll bring the audience to you.
Heck
That's
yeah.
right.
But yeah, could I shout out my couple brands real quick?
Please, whatever you'd like.
Cool, man. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today, and make sure you guys stay tuned. The Line Academy here at Life Pack. You know what I mean? We're anytime you're in Westlake Village and want to get some work, man, please join us. And then stay tuned for Peko Power, man. We're coming out with some cool products that helped me throughout my career with longevity, and we're just trying to pass it forward to y'all. So stay tuned. We got some big things coming, and appreciate you, Coach Flores. Keep up the great work, man. It's an honor working with you, and shout out to Cannon Sports for coming out today and getting all this cool footage. And thank you guys so much, brother.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in. See you guys on the next episode.